Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. Quick review on adding integers. So if you remember, when we are adding integers, which we are doing here because there's an addition sign in the middle, the rules are if my signs are the same, I'm going to add the two integers and keep the sign. So my signs are the same. Both the 3 and the 6 are negative. So I'm just going to add the 3 and the 6 to get me a 9. And the rule is to just keep the sign, which is negative. All right? So adding, when the signs are the same, add and keep the sign. Very simple, okay? So when we are adding, if the signs are the same, you add and keep the sign. So let's try if we have different signs. Okay, so I have 4 plus a negative 7. My signs are different. Even though I don't have a positive sign in front of the 4, that's a positive. So again, we are talking when we are adding. This is addition, so we have an addition sign in the middle. So now when our signs are different, the rule is to subtract the 2 and take the sign of the bigger number. So I'm going to subtract 7 and 4, and that would give me a 3. And I'm going to take the sign of the number that's bigger. Now when we say bigger, I'm looking at it as if it does not have a positive or negative with it. So I'm looking at this as just 4 and this as just 7. So 7 is bigger than 4, so I'm going to take the sign that is with the 7, which happens to be a negative. So 4 plus negative 7 gives me a negative 3. So remember, when we are adding integers and the signs are different, we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. These are rules you're just going to have to memorize, and it's good to write down notes or even print out the notes that I posted for you in Google Classroom. All right, let's try a couple more. Okay, here I have a negative 4 plus a negative 2. Well, I'm first making sure it's an addition problem, which it is. My signs are the same. My rule is going to tell me to add and keep the sign. So 4 plus 2 gives me 6, and they are both a negative, so I'm keeping the sign, so that is a negative 6. So signs are the same. We add and keep the sign. All right, we have a negative 8 plus 5. So it's an addition problem. That's what I'm looking at first. Next, I'm going to look at the signs of my integers. I have a negative 8, and here, this is because I do not have a sign here, it's a positive, all right? So this is a positive 5. So in this case, my signs are different. My rule is to subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. So 8 minus 5 gives me 3. And I'm going to look at the two integers and just look at the numbers themselves, 8 and 5. 8 is larger than 5, so I'm going to take the sign that's with my 8, which happens to be a negative. So then my final answer is negative 3. Okay, so let's say we were adding more than one integer. So I have negative 23 plus a negative 18 plus 22. I'm going to work little by little. So I'm going to work with this piece first. So it's an addition problem. My signs are the same. So I'm going to add these two and keep the sign. So 23 plus 18, that gives me 41. I'm going to keep the sign because they're both negative. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down the rest of this problem. So I'm going to drop down the plus 22. So I still have an addition problem. Now I'm looking at my integers. My signs are different. I'm now going to subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. So I'm subtracting these two and taking the sign of the bigger number. All right, so 41 minus 22 gives me 19, and then take the sign of the bigger number. 41 is bigger than 22, and the 41 has a negative with it, so my final answer is negative 19. Okay, so you can still do this with more than 2 integers, just as we did here with 3 integers. All right, let's just practice comparing now. Okay, so here we have 31 plus a negative 20, and we want to know what that is compared to 9. So we have to actually solve the left side. So it's an addition problem, all right? So I'm looking at my signs. My signs are different. I have a positive 31 and a negative 20. So I'm going to subtract the 2 and take the sign of the bigger number. So I am subtracting the 2, which 31 minus 20 is going to give me 11. And I'm going to take the sign of the bigger number. 31 is bigger than 20, and 31 is positive, so I'm going to keep this positive. I'm not going to put the positive sign here because that's not necessary. So now I know that this entire thing equals 11. So basically, I'm now just comparing 11 to positive 9. Well, 11 is greater than 9. So 31 plus a negative 20 is greater than a positive 9. So all we had to do was actually just solve this left side and then compare. Okay, guys, that's it for now, and I will talk to you soon.